Hello, welcome to Greenwood Bonsai Studio today. It's beginning of June here in the UK, and one of our jobs we're doing this week, we're doing some work on a few of our Japanese Satsuki Azaleas. Now, we've done a couple of videos in the past on our channel on Japanese Satsuki, so if you want to check back and watch those, that will give you some information about them. But a little job that we're going to do today on these is we're just going to take some of the old flowers off the trees. We're going to give this one a bit of a light prune, and then this one over here on your right, we're going to give that a bit of a more severe prune and show you how to go on. So these will always flower for about 3 to 4 weeks in the UK at this time of year. This one is in good full flower at the moment. We've got a lot of flowers already open, we've got some in bud, we've also got some that are just starting to go over. So to get best flowering out of them, when they're finished and the flowers go over, you need to remove them, but not just the flowers like this. You need to make sure you remove the stamen and the seed head here. So that little bulb there, you get in with your fingertips and you just pinch that out, and here as well. Otherwise it's to develop into seed. It takes energy and vigour from the tree, so all those little ones want to come off. You'll see a few places on the tree here, look, the flower's already fallen off due to the weight of the petal, and again it's just left that little bud that just wants taken out. So on this tree we're just going to do a brief tidy up, which is basically removing any of the damaged flowers, the ones that are just a little bit past the best, just going a bit brown on the edges. Just remove those, and then that will let the others come out. There's one here, another one here. The rest of these don't look too bad, but then a little bit of a tidy up to shorten back a lot of this foliage. This is quite a vigorous cultivar. It's put some long growth on, particularly up at the top. So after flowering, or about now, I'm just taking these long strong shoots back to 2 or 3 leaves, or just literally cutting the length of them back just to give us a better shape to the tree, just to neaten it up, tidy it up. This tree is still out on the bench for sale, so I don't want to go too harsh with it, but we do want to just keep on top of it, keeping it tidy so that it looks at its best for its next new owner. So a little bit of pruning around here, some of these long ones, a little bit just here and here, and that's got that quite a bit more tidy in just a sort of 5 minutes of pruning or so. And then as these flowers start to go over, same with these, as they start to go, we'll just remove those, and then it will give more energy to these buds that have yet to open. So I'll pop this one over here for now. That's just a quick little tidy. This next one, we're going to be a little bit more severe with. So you can see already, this one has been in flower for a little bit longer, so it's obviously flowered, you know, probably a week or 2 before that one we've just done, and therefore the flowers are starting to sort of fall off and go brown and go sort of past it. So with this particular one, what I'm going to do, a little bit different. We're going to take all the flowers off the tree. So we're just going to work from the top, working down, taking those flowers off, pinching those heads out. And I'm doing this a little bit faster on this tree because I'm going to prune this afterwards, but I just want to take the flowers off so we can see what we're doing when it comes to the pruning. So we can just get rid of those, come off quite easy. So this one I want to trim back, I want to repot it actually, is what I want to do. And here in the UK, a lot of people say that you repot Satsukis normally in early spring, or you can do them after flowering. I've found that in the UK, because we get some like a bit dreary weather and a bit grey days, if you pot them in early spring, if you haven't got a greenhouse to put them in, they can sometimes struggle and be a little bit slow to grow and recover. So I tend to favour potting them after flowering at this time of year, because we've got a few, well, hopefully we've got a few sunnier days, warmer ambient average temperature, and I find that they do grow a lot better if they're done at this time of year. But we don't want the stress of, we don't want the repotting to put any stress on the tree, so by taking these flowers off cutting the tree back quite hard. It gives us a window of opportunity to repot it. And what we'll do with this one, I'm going to repot it, I'm going to pop it in the greenhouse afterwards, and then we can show you in a few weeks what it's done and how it's progressed. So with most of the flowers off like this, I can now see the structure of this tree a little bit more. So I'm going to start at the top of the tree, and I'm going to be fairly a little bit brutal in trimming this back. I want to take out some of this growth we don't need, trimming back long growth, being fairly hard on these branches. And if that means that we're going to have a tree with not much leaf left on it, then that's fine. I want to take it back to bare bones and then show you how it recovers from that. So just start trimming this section back in here, and you can get away, if you know what you're doing, you can get away with sort of a bit of a shearing action on these, and then neaten it up once you can see the structure. A few flower buds there to take off, one in here, one down in there. This is just growing down a bit too much, and these grow quite fine branches, and what I'm trying to do is to trim them back to start to get a bit of definition to some foliage pads, rather than just have a sort of have too much of a sort of shrubby tree. Try to get some more definite foliage rather than just lots of little branches forming areas of the tree. So trim that back fairly hard into here. These are all growing up too much, some little bits hanging down just there. These have been very popular for us this year. We've had probably 30 or 40 different cultivated forms of Satsuki here on the nursery. We've had hundreds of trees, of individual trees to choose from, and a lot of people have selected cultivars that they like from our selection. Quite a few people commenting that we've got cultivars they've not seen before, so that they wanted to add to their collection. So they've been very popular. We've still got quite a few of them left. So this work I'm doing, you know, we've probably got 100 trees we need to do this work to, which is one of the reasons why I tend to do it fairly quickly. You got 100 trees and you do a couple, you've still got 98 left to do. It does tend to speed you up a little bit. Certainly by the time you get all 100 done, you'll be a fair bit quicker. At the back here, there's quite a lot of a bit of a jumble of branches. So if I can try and take some of those inner sections out, just tidy it up with a concave pruner in here. Just try and get rid of some of that clutter. Going down a bit much here. And this procedure I even do on my big Satskis every few years, you know, to stop them getting woody and shrubby, and give them a really good trim back like this. So it's got all most of the flower buds off that. There's another one there I missed. Just take that back a little bit more. It's a little full in here at the top. It's a little bit more growth we can take out of there. So then this one is wired into the pot, look. Let's just have a little look at that. Get a pair of wire scissors, just snip that wire underneath and take it out of the pot. And this is just in a Japanese plastic training pot, and we're going to see if we've got something more suitable and a bit nicer to put this tree into. So just ease it out like that. And this is planted into Kanuma, Japanese soil that's good for azaleas. It's got a fairly good compact root system, just like what you'd expect to see on a tree like this. And with it pruned back to this sort of stage, look, Little flower there I've missed. Just hold it up against that wall, you can see sort of shape of it. This bit here growing up too much, this section here. We'll shorten that down. This bit here. Yeah, these are growing down a bit too much. But something like that as a rough prune. We're going to take it through to the shop, see if we can find a ceramic pot to put it into, something a little bit nicer than the sort of the Japanese plastic training pot it's been in. So we'll wander through to the shop and let's try in a few other pots. So we've got quite a few pots, a selection of pots here in the shop. So we'll probably want a glazed pot for this, maybe a sort of 10-inch pot or so. There's a selection of them in this sort of area. So we've got things like this, like a blue rectangle. You can see it's the same sort of size the tree's been in, but a little bit deeper. We've got similar, but in a green rectangle. It's quite nice in something like that. We could put it into a green oval. That's quite nice. Then we'll try this green oval. Why not? Let's go back in the studio. We'll get this potted up. Follow me. Okay, so we've been in the shop and we've selected this green oval pot for this Satsuki. Before we get the tree ready for the pot, let's get the pot ready for the tree. So we're going to secure the tree into the pot just with a bit of wire. So we're just using a bit of 2mm aluminium bonsai wire. Just thread it up through the drainage holes like so. And we'll put a bit of mesh in the bottom of the pot just to stop the soil falling out. So a little piece of mesh like this, just drop it down like that over the drainage holes and the wire through like that. So now that pot's ready for the tree, let's do some work on the tree and the root ball. So quite a fibrous root ball on these Satsukis, but you should be able to just get into it with a root hook, comb away the edge. If you're doing it outside, you've got access to a garden hose pipe, that's often the quickest way is to just wash this soil off the roots. Another method you can use a big pair of Greenwood scissors and you can go through and you can take this outer edge off like that and work it a bit more. You can also use a root saw to saw around the edge. Just found my root saw. So with the root saw, you can use it like this. Just go round the edge. You use them for getting trees out of the pots, but you can also use them for this sort of root work like that. And with a tree on its side, you can also use this or a reciprocating saw to just slice through the bottom of the roots, just to take the depth down so we can get it into this pot a little bit easier. So a little bit of sawing and a little bit of pruning and a little bit of working the roots, we can get this root ball taken down. The pot it's going into is a little bit shallower than the training pot that it came out of, obviously, which is often the case when you're going into a more finished or ceramic bonsai pot over a training pot. A bit dense, putting up a little bit of a fight. There we go. Get it trimmed across the bottom there, over this side. Across like that, and then a bit more root combing out just to roughen this edge up, break up this root ball. This isn't that condensed, this Kanuma. Often when these trees come in from Japan, this can be really quite hard. This is still quite open structure, it's not too bad. A little bit of wire in here from previous years. I've took the bit out that was holding it in, so this is a little extra bit. There's a little knuckle on the top there we don't need. then just roughing it up around this edge where we've gone through it with that saw, just to break that edge up on the top, just to encourage these roots to grow out. Just be careful if you are using a root hook on these, because you need to be careful if you're using it near the base of the trunk, because any surface roots that azalea has, the bark's quite thin. So if you're a beginner, you're better off using a wooden implement when you're working around this base rather than a metal one. There's another piece of wire, look, just take that out. So once the roots are worked, let's see if we can get it into the pot. That comfortably fits in there. Maybe a little bit more off this side, just to afford us a little bit more space. Let's see if we can get it potted up. So let's pop the pot up there. We're using Kanuma, Japanese soil. That's what the tree's been growing in till now. Probably been growing in that most of its life. So we'll use the same stuff. So I open a bag of Kanuma. You see it's very granular yellow structure. And we'll pop a bit of that in the bottom of the pot, like so. And we'll take our tree and just settle it down front towards me. And take a little bit of a knuckle off this front edge. Put a little wedge out of there. Take another wedge out of that side. That'll allow us to incorporate fresh Kanuma further into the base. So I want to try and pot it about like that. A little bit more off this top on this left hand side. It's going to allow me to just tilt the tree over just a little bit in the pot. So get it somewhere like that. Front towards me. Front towards you now, look. I'll spin it round and get out of the way. So let's fill it in like that. So work our way around it with the Kanuma, filling it in. And I always add the compost and the soil to my trees like this, and always leave the wire till last. So we do that, and then we use a potting stick just to work the Kanuma down around the edge, just to get rid of any air pockets, work it down into those wedges that are made in the root ball and down around this outer edge. Once we've done that, we can then get this wire, this anchorage wire, just going to come across the back of the tree. Don't go around the trunk, it's not necessary, it'll do too much harm. Just bring it across the back of the tree, hold the tree in position, just pull and twist those wires, look. And again, just do that a couple of times till you take up the slack. Just trim off any excess wire, just push it down beneath the soil level. Bit more compost if we need some. And because this tree's just finished flowering, I'm going to put some Naruko on it, which is a Japanese fertiliser that we use. It's especially good for azaleas. And because it's flowered, it's took a lot of energy out of the tree. It's important when they finish flowering to give the tree back that energy and to start regularly fertilising it again. And because I've cut it quite hard back, it's had a little dose of Naruko on it. This tree now is going to be well watered. We're going to put it into an unheated greenhouse. I'm going to leave it in there. I think we'll leave it in there for about 4 to 5 weeks, and we'll bring it back out in that length of time when we think it's looking, when it's got a load of new growth on it, we think it's done nicely and put some new growth out. We're going to bring it back out and we'll show you what we've done to it. So we've done a little bit of pruning on that first azalea, just a standard little bit, and this one we've just gone sort of a little bit next level on it and taken it back a little bit further. But we've now, instead of having just a bush of an azalea, we've got a bit more definition of individual branches and foliage pads, and we can start working on them over the next few years. So just a quick little demonstration. So if you've got a young juvenile Satsuki azalea like this, or if you bought one of these off us in the last few weeks, I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about what to do next with it, because it is one of those trees that if you own one and it's in your collection, it might be a little bit different than other trees, the repotting time and taking the flowers off and how you work on it. So we just wanted to put information out there so that none of you are struggling if you've recently bought one from us. By all means, have a look back at the other videos. We've done a couple of videos before on Japanese Satsuki azaleas, different things. We did one on pruning, another one on repotting, and cultural care information. And if you haven't already, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos on this tree and others that we've already featured. And thank you very much for watching. Take care.